If you say this, no woman will resist. Sounds like a bold promise, right? But let me tell you something most men don't want to admit. The reason you struggle with women isn't because you're not tall enough, not rich enough, or not good-looking enough. It's because you haven't mastered the art of words, the way you speak, what you say, and more importantly, the energy behind those words. Men underestimate this, but women live and breathe it. We're wired to pick up on tone, intention, and confidence in ways you probably don't even realize. And if you knew what to say, and how to say it, you'd stop chasing women, and they'd start leaning into you. That's not manipulation. That's masculine power. So if you're ready, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to say that no woman can resist. But here's the catch. It's not about cheesy pickup lines or memorized scripts you spit out at a bar. It's about embodying the kind of man whose words carry weight. The kind of man who doesn't just talk, he speaks truth. The kind of man who makes a woman feel something deep in her gut when he opens his mouth. Before we dive in, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because this is the kind of advice men don't get anywhere else. You're not going to hear me sugarcoat things or stroke your ego. I'm here to tell you what works, what women actually respond to. And trust me, once you internalize these lessons, not only will women look at you differently, but you'll look at yourself differently. And that shift, that's everything. So let's break this down into the 7 things you can say that no woman will resist. I want you to keep an open mind, because some of these may challenge how you've been taught to think about women, masculinity, and relationships. But that's exactly why they work. 1. I don't need you, but I want you. Think about how powerful those words are. Most men approach women with this needy energy, as if she's the missing piece that's going to make his life worth living. That energy repels us. Why? Because it's not masculine. It signals weakness. It tells us you've placed us on a pedestal and that you'll bend over backwards just to keep us interested. And here's the truth. No woman respects a man who puts her above his own self-respect. Now imagine saying and meaning, I don't need you, but I want you. That flips everything. Suddenly, you're showing her that your life is already full, already meaningful, already whole. You're not desperate for her attention, but you're choosing her. And that distinction? It's irresistible. It makes her lean forward because she feels like she has to earn her place in your world. Stoic philosophy understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength when you approach women, or anyone for that matter, from a place of inner strength, not craving, not dependency. You project stability, and women crave stability. Let me ask you something. Are you the kind of man who needs a woman to validate him, or the kind of man who validates himself first and then chooses a woman as an extension of his already strong life? Be honest. Because until you answer that question truthfully, you'll always find yourself on the wrong side of attraction. This is where modern examples hit hard. Think about men like David Goggins or Jordan Peterson. Love them or hate them, they carry themselves in a way that screams, I can stand on my own. That's why people, including women, listen when they speak. Their words don't come from lack, they come from fullness. And that's what makes them magnetic. Here's the trick. Don't just say the words, I don't need you, but I want you. Live them. Build your life in such a way that you truly mean it. Women can smell the difference between authenticity and empty lines a mile away. If you're broke, unmotivated and aimless, saying it will sound hollow. But if you're grinding, building yourself up and already fulfilled, those words will shake her to her core. 2. I don't chase, I choose. This one is a gut punch for a lot of men because most of you were raised to believe that chasing women is the way to win them over. Movies, music, and social media all glorify the man who tirelessly pursues the woman until she finally gives in. But here's the reality. Women don't respect what they don't have to respect. If you're chasing her, you're telling her she's the prize and you're just a contestant in her game. And trust me, the second she feels she has you wrapped around her finger, the attraction dies. When you say, "I don't chase, I choose," you flip the dynamic. You remind her, and yourself, that you are the one with the power to select who enters your life. You're not begging to be accepted into hers. You're evaluating whether she deserves a place in yours. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Men waste years of their lives chasing women who don't want them, don't respect them, or don't even see them as an option. Why? Because they've been programmed to think that if they just run harder, faster, and longer, eventually she'll see their worth. But here's the cold truth. Worth that has to be proven is not worth at all. Here's the mind-blowing question. What if you stopped chasing women altogether and instead focused on becoming the kind of man women chase? How would your life look different? Think about the most powerful men in history, kings, emperors, leaders. They didn't chase women. Women came to them. Why? Because power attracts, purpose attracts, self-possession attracts. And here's the modern translation. The man who's deeply committed to his mission, his discipline, his growth, will always be more magnetic than the man who wastes his time sending wild texts at midnight. I'll give you a relatable example. Have you ever noticed how women will ignore a guy for months, but the second he pulls back, stops giving her attention, and starts focusing on himself? Suddenly she's interested? That's not a coincidence. That's biology. Women are wired to respect and pursue men who don't hand themselves over easily. So when you say, "I don't chase, I choose," it's not just a statement. It's a lifestyle. It means you hold the frame. You're the one in control of your time, your energy, your attention. And when a woman sees that, she realizes she has to step up to earn you. That's when the power dynamic shifts. That's when she starts leaning in. 3. I know who I am. You might think this sounds too simple, too obvious, but let me tell you, very few men actually live by this. Most men are lost. They're swayed by trends, peer pressure, social media, and the desperate desire to fit in. And when a man doesn't know who he is, his words and actions carry no weight. Women sense it immediately. When you say, "I know who I am," you're not just saying words. You're declaring identity. You're showing her that you've carved out your place in the world, that you've built a sense of self that isn't easily shaken. And believe me, for a woman, that is magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." Identity comes from ambition, from having a vision for your life, a code you live by, a standard you refuse to lower. When you know who you are, you're not easily manipulated. You don't get played by games, moods, or petty tests. Here's a thought-provoking question. If I asked you right now, who are you without your job, without your car, without your social media, without women's attention? Who are you really? Could you answer honestly? And more importantly, would you like the answer? A man who knows himself doesn't get defensive. He doesn't need to prove his worth. He doesn't crumble when rejected, because rejection doesn't change his identity. Imagine sitting across from a woman, and she tests you, maybe even challenges you, and instead of scrambling or shrinking, you calmly look her in the eye and let her know, through your presence, not just your words, that you know exactly who you are. That's unshakable. That's irresistible. Women respect men who have this groundedness because it makes them feel safe. It makes them trust you. It makes them want to follow you. And that's not just theory. That's how biology has worked for thousands of years. 4. I walk away when respect is gone. This is where most men fail. You tolerate disrespect. You tolerate flakiness, half-hearted effort, dismissive attitudes, and sometimes outright disrespect because you're afraid to lose her. But every time you allow a woman to disrespect you without consequences, you chip away at her attraction for you. Women test men all the time. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's unconscious. But it's always real. And the only way to pass those tests isn't by arguing, begging, or trying harder. It's by being willing to walk away. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom is knowing you can walk away. Freedom is knowing that no woman, no matter how beautiful, no matter how tempting, has power over you when respect is gone. Picture this. A woman cancels on you last minute for the third time. Most men would make excuses for her, tolerate it, maybe even try harder to win her approval. But the man who calmly says, "I'm not interested in being treated this way," and walks away, changes the game. Suddenly, she realizes you're not like the others. You're not desperate. You're not weak. You respect yourself enough to demand the same in return. Here's a mind-blowing question. If you never tolerated disrespect again, not from women, not from friends, not from co-workers, how much stronger would your life become? Modern men struggle with this because they think walking away means losing. But in reality, it's the ultimate win. Because every time you walk away from disrespect, you're reinforcing your value. You're telling the world and yourself, "I am not a man who can be walked over." And let me tell you something. Women will test you harder when they realize you're serious about this. But once they see you won't bend, their respect for you skyrockets. And respect is the root of attraction. Without it, love and desire mean nothing. 5. I am my mission. This is the deepest truth you need to understand. At the core of masculine energy is purpose. Women may love you, desire you, and even commit to you, but if you abandon your mission for her, she will eventually lose respect. Your mission must come first. Now, don't get it twisted. That doesn't mean ignoring women or treating them like they don't matter. It means understanding that your life has to be built around a greater purpose than hers. A woman can be part of your life, but she cannot be the center of it. When she is, everything collapses. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery of self starts with knowing your mission, why you're here, what you're building, what you're striving toward. Without that, you drift. And when you drift, women lose faith in you. Here's the question. If every woman walked out of your life tomorrow, would your mission still stand? Would you still wake up with fire, with discipline, with direction? Think of men like Elon Musk. You may not like him, you may not agree with him, but you cannot deny his mission consumes him. That's why people follow him. That's why women respect men like that. Mission creates gravity, and gravity pulls people in. When you say, "I am my mission," you're not telling a woman she doesn't matter. You're showing her that you're anchored to something bigger than both of you. And ironically, that's what makes her trust you more. Because a man with no mission is a man who's easily lost. And no woman feels safe following a man who doesn't know where he's going. Here's the kicker. When a woman sees you're serious about your mission, she doesn't resent it. She admires it. She aligns herself with it. She wants to be part of it. Because deep down, women want to follow a man with vision. And if you're that man, she won't just resist. She'll commit, invest, and stay. By now, you can see the shift happening. These aren't lines you memorize to trick women. They're principles that reshape how you show up as a man. Because here's the truth. Women aren't resisting you because you don't know the right words. They're resisting because your words don't match the man behind them. Once you align who you are with what you say, women feel it instantly. They can't help but lean in. And the last two principles will cement that. 6. I don't fear rejection. This one separates the men from the boys. Most guys tiptoe around women because they're terrified of rejection. They sugarcoat, they hesitate, they hold back, they stay quiet. And all of that hesitation kills attraction before it even starts. Women don't respect a man who's afraid of her no. When you say, I don't fear rejection, and you mean it, you're untouchable. Suddenly, you're free. You're free to express your interest directly. You're free to flirt boldly. You're free to set boundaries without worrying if she'll leave. And ironically, that freedom makes women more likely to say yes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Rejection is an outside event. You can't control it. But you can control your reaction to it. And when you respond with calm indifference instead of desperation, women feel your strength. Here's the mind-blowing question. What if you pursued women as if rejection didn't matter at all? As if each no only proved you were getting closer to the right yes? How different would your energy feel? Think about it this way. A man who fears rejection will never risk speaking his truth. But a man who doesn't fear it? He speaks with clarity. He looks her in the eye and says what he feels without flinching. And even if she says no, she remembers him. Because confidence leaves an impression. Women can't resist a man who isn't begging for their approval. And when you truly stop fearing rejection, you become that man. 7. I am enough. This is the final and most important thing you can ever say, not just to women, but to yourself. I am enough. Simple, but it cuts deeper than anything else. Most men walk around with quiet insecurity. They think they're not tall enough, rich enough, handsome enough, successful enough, and that insecurity bleeds into everything they do. Women sense it immediately, and it makes them pull away. Because if you don't believe you're enough, how can you expect her to? But when you look at her, and at yourself, and you know deep down, I am enough, everything changes. Your presence relaxes. Your neediness disappears. Your words gain power. You stop trying to impress, and instead you just express. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Self-mastery begins with self-acceptance. When you know you're enough, you don't settle, you don't chase, you don't compromise your mission, you don't tolerate disrespect, you don't fear rejection, you simply live as a man who knows his worth, and women cannot resist that. Here's the final question. What would your life look like if every single day you moved through the world as if you were already enough? No more pretending, no more proving, just being. That's the kind of energy that shifts everything. That's the kind of energy women feel deep in their bones. That's the kind of energy no woman can resist. Here's the truth you need to take away. Words only have power when the man behind them has power. If you tell a woman you don't need her but want her, but your life is empty, it's just a line. If you say you don't chase but choose, but you're secretly desperate, it falls flat. Every principle we've gone through is about building yourself into the kind of man who means what he says. And when you get there, women won't just hear your words. They'll feel them. They'll feel the confidence, the mission, the presence, the unshakable identity. That's what no woman can resist. So let me leave you with one final piece of advice. Stop trying to be the man women want and start being the man you respect. Because when you respect yourself, women can't help but respect you too. If this hit you hard, subscribe right now. Don't just watch passively. Join me here, because I'll keep giving you the tools to rise into the man you're meant to be. And trust me, this is just the beginning.